We live in a wonderful place, but people have had this craving to travel for quite some time. Europe these days looks really busy. All I see on my Instagram feed is people traveling to Europe constantly, and that includes Angel Castellanos. I love following all your travels, our travel journalist, live from this beautiful view. Angel, where are you?
I'm looking over the mighty Rhine River right here in Cologne, Germany.
It looks incredible. Germany is a place I've not been to. So let's get right into it. What was your experience like to leave and get there? How were your travels? I mean, did you run into any problems?
Well, I was one of those crazy people who flew on the 4th of July weekend. And of course, TSA reported that more people flew that weekend than any other weekend since the pandemic started. But it did take me 7 minutes to get from curb to lounge because I went carry-on. But the woman next to me sitting on the plane, it took her 2 hours to check her luggage. So the airport was really, really intense. And then I had a layover in Munich, and I chose Munich instead of Frankfurt because Frankfurt is one of the busy airports in Europe. And my layover went pretty smoothly because I allowed myself enough time to do that.
Okay, so Angel, let's talk about this because I know we've discussed this in the past. Carry-on is easier. That's how my husband and I try to travel. Even with our toddler, we've managed to fold everything up really teeny tiny. How long are you staying in Germany, and how did you get away with carry-on only?
Yeah, I'm staying 2 weeks in Germany, and I'm a carry-on only guy. And if there was ever a time to go carry-on, this is it because of the craziness that's happening at the airport. You know, I just read a survey by Allianz Partners that says that 1 in 3 Americans are planning revenge travel, and over 70% of Americans are planning on traveling this year. So I really don't want to check a bag. So I just have clothes that I can really wear that are sustainable and that mix and match really easily. I have 2 pairs of shoes, one that I wear, and my church and dinner shoes, you know, I pack those. So I'm a folder and roller.
Yeah, I always wear my biggest shoes on the airplane to avoid having to put that in my backpack. So I'm curious, now that you're there, once you got there, has it been packed? I mean, are you seeing what I'm seeing on my Instagram? Is everyone taking over Europe?
Well, yeah, you know, on my Instagram, everyone seems to be in Italy, and crowds are definitely back, and there's planned labor strikes. So I chose a different route. I chose to come to Germany, where there's historic towns, outdoor activities. There's a lot of diversity here. Sustainable travel is really big. But aside from the crowds, the currency is even with the dollar for the first time in over 20 years. And the occupancy is very high, but at the same time, there's not a lot of COVID restrictions. So there's always a positive and a negative. Yeah,
when we've been covering all the finance news, to hear the euro and the dollar are equal, what does that mean when you're shopping? I mean, is everyone still hit by this inflation?
Yeah, I did notice that the prices here in Germany are a little higher than they were last time I was here, but having the dollar be even with the euro is pretty incredible. For example, here in Germany, you can get a month-long rail ticket for €9. So for $9, you can go from different parts of Germany. So I took a train here, and I've been traveling exclusively by train here in Germany because it's eco-friendly and incredibly cheap.
Yeah, I was going to say, one of the best parts of Europe would be public transportation. I thoroughly enjoy not having to worry about driving and constantly catching rides, but the trains are really convenient. I am also curious too if you were concerned about airline strike, the shortages of staff. I mean, things like that. At least, you know, as far as COVID protocols, those have eased up, but there's still a lot more, you know, just delays that are happening.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of uncertainty when it comes to the airline industry. And it was just reported that Heathrow Airport is going to start putting a cap on passengers. So you can certainly expect that the scheduling of flights, especially within Europe, is going to start to reduce. But as long as you have your ticket booked from the United States to Europe, you're more than likely going to be in good shape. And then once you're here, again, taking the train like we're talking about is the way to go. And avoiding certain airports, if you can, is also another good idea. Like I avoided Frankfurt, and so I flew directly into Munich.
And that's from experience. You know that that's a smoother ride. Also want to talk about this heat wave that's hitting part of Europe. Are you sweating it out over there?
Yeah, it was a little rainy last week, so there was a break from that, but the heat wave is continuing this week, so I can't imagine what it's going to be like south of the Alps. That's why I'm staying here in Germany. It's really warm today. It's about 86 degrees
Ooh.
here in the northern part of Germany. So I'm going to make my way down south to Munich, right at the foothills of the Alps, and it's going to be in the 90s there.
Okay. When it comes to booking a room, too, for a lot of people, you go to your typical hotels that you may have heard of. Is that the best thing to do right now with occupancy so high? Or what do you suggest? How do we get a room?
I like to, use Google and booking websites to do research, but I like to book my room directly with the hotel.
Okay.
I like to do that with airlines as well. That way you get the cheapest price possible. They usually price match whatever's on the internet, and you have a direct relationship with the hotel. And that usually saves me not only cash, but a lot of heartache on the back end.
So being there for a couple weeks like you are, Angel, what do you plan to do?
Well, I'm eventually making my way south to Munich. I'm going to Rothenburg, which is one of the cute, small, historic towns. Tomorrow, I'm going to the very first UNESCO World Heritage Site, which is Aachen, and that's where King Charlemagne built his empire here in Europe. So I'm doing a lot of cool stuff and making my way down south.
That's amazing. Angel, I love living vicariously through all that you do, so thank you for being on with us. Next time we have you on, I would love to see your carry-on, because I think that's going to be really helpful.
You bet.
You're always looking so sharp, so that's why I'm so impressed that you had all of that packed in a carry-on bag.
Thanks.
Enjoy your travels. Real quick before we go, Angel, where can people go to find out more tips from you?
They can go to my Instagram, angels_travels, or my website, angelstravellounge.com. And on YouTube, I'm The Tour Guy.
The Tour Guy. Yes, you are. Angel, thanks for being on again. Great to see you as always.
Thanks so much.
Enjoy it there in Germany.